Paschatya Desh. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasali Gaurabhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we continue to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, chapter 16. Would anyone like to say what you remember from yesterday's reading?
Hare Krishna. So we continue to understand the Bhagavad Dharma, which is the best of all religious systems, and that so-called religions are meant for particular type of person who believe in particular way. But if we scrutinize the religious systems meant for worship of demigods, then which is anyone else but the Supreme Personality of God, then we will find they are full of envy and therefore they are impure. And there's this mentality of self-envy, not being satisfied and seeing differences in ourselves and others, mine and yours, and not seeing Lord in everyone. And that takes us away from him, because he's in every living entity. He's everywhere. So the living entities who have no compassion and respect for other living entities due to their false prestige, power, are condemned by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then Prabhupada also adds about animal sacrifices done in the name of yajna, the sacrifices that are performed without any rules and regulations, and are not actually a yajna, because yajna is that which pleases Krishna. That is recommended in this age to perform yajna as chanting Hare Krishna mantra, because that is what pleases Krishna and satisfies the yajna purusha. Some argue that the sacrifice of animals is recommended in Vedas, but it is actually a restriction. Without Vedic restrictions, people will purchase meat from market, and then there are more slaughterhouses everywhere. So to restrict them, sometimes Vedas say that you may eat meat after sacrificing animals, but in any case, it is condemned, and it is inauspicious to do the sacrifice of animals. And then Prabhupada also says the demoniac qualities, these kind of demoniac qualities gives one demoniac bodies. Those who are envious and mischievous, causing suffering to others, are cast by the Lord into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. This is the law of nature. So he also talks about Aryans who are very civilized. He compares them, who are following Bhagavad Dharma. They strictly follow the instructions of the Supreme Lord. And he calls them civilized men that follow from Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavatam, which is the instruction from Krishna himself. And that they do not discriminate between trees, animals, human beings, moving, non-moving, or any other living entities. They see all living beings equally. They do not do anything for sense gratification. They are trained, and they respect all, all have the right to live and should be protected. This is the basic principle of Aryan civilization. They follow occupational duties according to the Varnashrama system: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the four social and spiritual divisions. They acquire their qualities, and they are eager to satisfy Krishna through guna and karma, surrendered to Krishna fully. And then we are advised to balance the devotional service and seva. This is the way we are advised to balance devotional service and seva, or duty. And when the Krishna consciousness movement is not followed, Bhagavad Dharma is not followed, because Bhagavad Dharma and Krishna Katha, they are identical. They strictly follow the instructions from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and Bhagavad Dharma. So we are advised to try to take Krishna's mood, take his mission, and to help bring everyone back to Godhead. Yeah, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that. So then that brings us to today's verse.
Hare Krishna Simpaji. I just have one question, that when we are seeing Narsimha Dev, then there are two more circles now. Other chakras are there, two more chakras.
Yeah.
So
Since
is there any
Nashinga
significance?
Chaturdashi, I think since the Nashinga Chaturdashi they put this,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah,
Like
two
the
more
sun.
chakras are there, right? Like the sun and the protection, protection chakra or something, is it? No? For us to, like, if you could tell us, like if you could find out, or you can tell us, because it would be easier for you to find out.
Sure, I can find that.
Okay,
Sure.
thank you so much, because that looks so beautiful. I mean, he looked beautiful,
Right?
and he's looking
Yeah.
more beautiful now. So, like,
Yeah.
it's beautiful abha, like how we say it's abha is changed. So if you could tell us more about it. Thank you.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Hare Krishna.
So we'll begin with 44. Nahi Bhagwan Aghatitam Idam.
Nahi
Bhagavan Agahantitam Idam
Vaddarshanan Nirnam Akhila Papashaya.
Darshana Nirnam Akhila Papashaya
Yanama Sakrit Shravanat.
Chitranava
Kashopi Vimuchyate Samsarat.
Akshapi Muchyate Samsara.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. My Lord, it is not impossible for one to be immediately freed from all material contamination by seeing you. Not to speak of seeing you personally, merely by hearing the holy name of your Lordship only once, even Chandalas, men of the lowest class, are freed from all material contamination. Under the circumstances, who will not be freed from material contamination simply by seeing you? So we can see that Citraketu is saying that just by seeing the Lord, one can come to the liberated platform. Then he's saying, what about seeing? Just by hearing the holy name, one can get liberated. Free from all material contamination means understanding I'm not the body, I'm the soul. So, and one may be in any class of society, there is no restriction, but hearing the holy name of the Lord can bring one to liberation. And what to speak about seeing the Lord face to face. As stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam 9.5.16, Yan nama shruti matrena puman bhavati nirmala. Simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, one is immediately purified. Therefore, in this age of Kali, when all people are very contaminated, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is recommended as the only means of improvement. Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam. Kalau naste va naste va naste va gatir anyatha. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. Brahmanaditya Purana. So we can see in this age of Kali, if at all we want to get liberated, we want to understand, oh, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. We want to come to the transcendental platform. We have to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. There is no other way. The Shastras are saying it 3 times that there is no other way. That's a recommendation for us in this age of Kali. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu introduced this chanting of the holy name 500 years ago. And now that through the Krishna consciousness movement, the Hare Krishna movement, we are actually seeing that men who are considered to belong to the lowest class, are being delivered from all sinful activities simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord. Samsara, material existence, is a result of sinful actions. Everyone in this material world is condemned. Yet, as there are different grades of prisoners, there are different grades of men. All of them in all statuses of life are suffering. To stop the suffering of material existence, one must take to the Hare Krishna movement of Sankirtan or Krishna conscious life. So Prabhupada is explaining in the purport that Lord Chaitanya himself came to give us this Yuga Dharma, Kali Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan. So Lord Chaitanya himself came to give us this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. And Prabhupada is saying that we can practically see that it's working, that people are able to give up sinful activities, no matter what our background may be. Whatever community, country, nationality, wherever we are coming from. Prabhupada is saying that he can see that by chanting the holy name, how people are giving up sinful activities and taking up Krishna consciousness. So that this is the power of the holy name, that it is so powerful. It can help us to take away all our sinful reactions, can bring us to the liberated platform. Prabhupada is mentioning here that each and every one of us here in the material world is suffering. Dukkhalayam ashasvatam, says Krishna regarding the material world, that it is a temporary place and it is full of suffering. So no matter which prison one may be in a third-class prison or one may be in a first-class prison. A prison is after all prison. There's suffering in the prison. One does not have independence. One is forced to do the things, the law, according to the laws of prison. So this material world is like that. It's a prison. So to help us get out of this prison, we have been given this Hare Krishna mantra to stop the suffering of material existence, here Prabhupada is saying. So if we at all want to get out of this material world, we need to take to this chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Service to Krishna begins with the tongue. So chanting Hare Krishna mantra is service to Krishna. Herein it is said, Yanama Sakrit Shravana, the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is so powerful that if once heard without offenses, it can purify the lowest of men, Kirata, Punandra, Pulinda, Pulak, Visha. Such men who are called Chandalas are less than Shudras, but they also can be purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Lord, not to speak of personally seeing the Lord. So Bhagavatam is saying that no matter what our background is, what kind of social structure we are coming up from, by offenseless hearing of the holy name, one can get purified. So Citraketu is saying, then what to speak about seeing the Lord face to face? If the holy name, of course, there's no difference between the Lord and his holy name. The Lord and his holy name are non-different. So from our present position, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be personally seen as the deity in the temple. The deity of the Lord is not different from the Supreme Lord. Because we cannot see the Supreme Lord with our present blunt eyes, the Lord has kindly consented to come before us in a form we can see. Therefore, the deity in the temple should not be considered material. So just as the holy name of the Lord is the Lord, the deity in the temple is also the Lord. We may be able to see some wood or some stone or metal, but this is the Lord himself. He has kindly appeared in a form in which we can see, because we have gotten material senses right now. Our senses are covered. Our real senses are covered. So the Lord kindly takes a form by which we can see, we can offer our love to him, we can offer our worship to him, we can reciprocate with him. So for our benefit, the Lord has taken the deity form By offering food to the deity and by decorating and serving the deity, one gets the same result that one derives from serving the Lord personally in Vaikuntha. So, deity worship is personal service to the Lord. Your Prabhupada is mentioning as one may serve the Lord in the spiritual world personally. Similarly, here in the material world, it's the same when we are serving the deity. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Going on then. Atha Bhagavan Vayam Aduna.
Atha Bhagavan Vayam Aduna
Tvad Avaloka Parimrishta Shayamala.
Tvat
Avaloka Parimshrita Shayamala
Sura Rishina Yat Kathitam.
Surarishina Yat Kathitam
Tavakena Katham Anyatha Bhavati.
Kena Katham Anyatha Bhavati.
Therefore, my dear Lord, simply seeing you has now wiped away all the contamination of sinful activities and the results of material attachment and lusty desires, which always filled my mind and the core of my heart. Whatever is predicted by the great sage Narad Muni cannot be otherwise. In other words, I have obtained your audience as a result of being trained by Narad Muni. So Citraketu here, he is appreciating that it is because of Narad Muni he is able to see the Lord. And he's saying, now I've seen you, my heart is completely purified now. There is no more material attachment. He's understood I'm not the body, I'm the soul. I'm eternal servant of Krishna. So then no more material attachment. Doesn't care whatever happens to the body. Has no desire to enjoy the material world. And all this has happened because of the mercy of Narad Muni. And he has followed the instructions of Narad Muni. He followed what Narad Muni told him. This is the process of the perfect way. One must take lessons from authorities like Narad, Vyasa, and Asita and follow their principles. Then one will be able to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead even with one's own eyes. One only needs training. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grayam indriye. With our blunt eyes and other senses, we cannot perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But if we engage our senses in the service of the Lord, according to the instructions of the authorities, it will be possible to see Him. As soon as one sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all the sinful reactions in the core of one's heart are certainly vanquished. So your Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport, just as Citraketu, he received the instructions from Narad and he followed them and he's able to see the Lord. Now he's completely purified. Similarly, each and every one of us can do that, following in the instructions of the authorities, of the bona fide representatives of Krishna, and being trained by them. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhavet grayam indriye. So serving Krishna with our senses. When we engage our senses in the service of Krishna, then our senses will get purified. And in this way, we can see the Lord. So service to the Lord begins with the tongue by chanting Hare Krishna, by tasting Krishna Prasad. With the ears, we hear the holy name, hear the glories of the Lord. So like that, engaging the senses in the service of the Lord, and gradually, the senses get purified. Viditam ananta samastam.
Viditam Ananta
Tam
Tava jagat atmano janer iha charitam.
Tava
Atmano Charitam
Vigyapayam parama guru.
Vigyapayam
Param
Guru
Yad iva savitur iva kadyotehe.
Iyat
Yad iva savitur iva khadite.
O unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead, whatever a living entity does in this material world is well known to you because you are the super soul. In the presence of the sun, there is nothing to be revealed by the light of a glowworm. Similarly, because you know everything, in your presence, there is nothing for me to make known. So Citraketu is saying, when the sun comes up, now the sun is up, you don't need a torchlight. You don't need any other light to be able to see because the sunlight is enough. It's so bright. So what can a glowworm, those glowworms in the night, you can see their light. But during the day, you can't even see they are glowing because the sunshine is so much. So Chitraketu is saying, my dear Lord, you are Paramatma in our heart. And that you know whatever is there, whatever is happening, whatever is our desire, whatever we have done, everything is known to you. He's saying, so what shall I tell you now? You know everything. What more is there for me to tell you? Namastubhayam Bhagavate
Namastubhyam Bhagavate
Sakala Jagat Sthiti Layodayeshaya
Sakala
Jagat Sthiti Layo Deshaya
Duravasitatma Gataye
Duravasita Tatma Gataye
Kuyoginam Vida Param Hamsaya.
Vina Vida Paramhamsaya.
My dear Lord, you are the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of this cosmic manifestation. But persons who are too materialistic and who always see separateness do not have eyes with which to see you. They cannot understand your real position, and therefore they conclude that the cosmic manifestation is independent of your opulence. My Lord, you are the supreme pure, and you are full in all six opulences. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So he's saying, you are the one who's creating the material world, creating, maintaining, and annihilating. But what happens is because we are too attached to this material world, we want to enjoy the material world. We are not able to understand, oh, it actually belongs to Krishna. Because of our desire, so much desire to enjoy this world. We cannot understand why it actually belongs to Krishna. What am I doing? So in that, we are not able to understand Krishna's position. But Chitraketu here is saying, actually, you are the Supreme Lord. You're full in six opulences. I offer my obeisances unto you. Atheistic men think that the cosmic manifestation has come about by chance, by a combination of matter, without reference to God. Materialistic so-called chemists and atheist philosophers always try to avoid even the name of God in relation to the cosmic manifestation. For them, God's creation is impossible to understand because they are too materialistic. So too much desire to enjoy the world. Because if we acknowledge that the world belongs to God, then the sense enjoyment will become restricted, no? Then we'll have to think, oh my God, what am I doing? It doesn't belong to me. What's happening? So the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Paramhams, or the Supreme Pure. Whereas those who are sinful, being very much attached to material sense enjoyment, and therefore engaging in material activities like asses, are the lowest of men. So much difference between the Lord and us. The Lord, he is transcendental, supremely pure. The soul may at one time become pure, right? The soul is always pure anyway. But now we are contaminated. We are in the body, so we are thinking we are the body. That's our contamination. But the Lord is supremely pure. So all their so-called scientific knowledge is null and void because of their atheistic temperament. They cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So whatever material knowledge we may have great knowledge, but that's all on the material platform, so it's temporary. After we leave the body, it has no value there. Everything is forgotten because after all, we are not the body, we are spirit souls. And because of this too much desire to enjoy the material world, we are not able to understand the Lord. Anyone wanted any comments, any questions? Okay. Then we'll continue reading. Yam Veshwasantam Anuveshwasrichas Shwasanti
Yam Swasantam
Yam Che Kitanam Anuchetaya Uchakanti
Yam Kitanam Anuchitte Uchakan
Bhumandalam Sarshapayati Yasya Murdhani
Dalam Sarsapa
Yasya Murdhani
Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Stu Sahasramurdhane
Tasmai Namo Bhagavate Astu
Sahasramurtane.
Sahasramurdhine.
My dear Lord, it is after you endeavor that Lord Brahma, Indra, and the other directors of the cosmic manifestation become occupied with their activities. It is after you perceive the material energy, my Lord, that the senses begin to perceive. The Supreme Personality of Godhead holds all the universes on his heads like seeds of mustard. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, that Supreme Personality who has thousands of hoods. So he's offering his obeisances to Lord Sankarsha and saying, you're holding all these unlimited number of universes as if they are just mustard seeds. We can, in our palm, we can hold so many mustard seeds. So one universe is like a tiny mustard seed for the Lord. And Citraketu here is saying that it's by the Lord's glance. Only after the Lord glances at the material energy that the modes get activated, she gets activated, the modes get agitated, the creation is happening. And then everyone gets busy. Lord Brahma gets busy, Indra gets busy. Everyone is given their positions, their services, but the glance is coming from the Supreme Lord. Shri Shukavacha
Shri Sukavacha
Samstuto Bhagavan Evam
Samstuto Bhagavan Eva
Evam
Anantastam Abhashata
Anantastam
Anantatam
Abhasata
Abhyasatam
Vidyadharapatim Pritash
Vidyadharapatim
Vidyadharapatima
Pritas
Pritah
Citraketum Kurudvaha.
Citraketum
Citraketum Kurudvaha.
Kurudhaha.
Sukadeva Goswami continued, the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Anantadev, being very much pleased with the prayers offered by Citraketu, the king of the Vidyadharas, replied to him as follows: O best of the Kuru dynasty, Maharaj Parikshit. Shri Bhagwan Vacha
Shri Bhagavan Vacha
Shri Bhagavana Vacha
Yan Narada Girobhyam Te
Yannaradam
Narada
Girubhyam Te
Angiro Bhasma
Vyahratam Menushasanam
Vyahatam Me Anushasanam
Samsiddhosi Taya Rajan.
Samsiddho
Samsiddha
Sitaya
Asitaya
Rajan
Rajana.
Vidyaya darshanach me.
Vidya
Vidya
darshanach
darshanatacha me.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Anantadev, replied as follows: O King, as a result of your having accepted the instructions spoken about me by the great sages Narad and Angira, you have become completely aware of transcendental knowledge. Because you are now educated in the spiritual science, you have seen me face to face. Therefore, you are now completely perfect. The perfection of life is to be spiritually educated and to understand the existence of the Lord and how He creates, maintains, and annihilates the cosmic manifestation. When one is perfect in knowledge, he can develop his love of Godhead through the association of such perfect persons as Narad and Angira and the members of their disciplic succession. Then one is able to see the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. Although the Lord is unlimited, by His causeless mercy, He becomes visible to the devotee, who is then able to see Him. So here the Lord is telling to Angira, to Citraketu, that you accepted the instructions that Narad Muni and Angira told you. You heard this transcendental knowledge. You heard the knowledge, you followed what they told you to tell you, and now then you became purified. That's how you're able to see me. Because his senses are purified. That's how he's able to see the Lord. And now he's able to understand the science of God. He's able to understand the position of God. So that's why he's saying you're completely perfect, educated in spiritual science. He's understood his position. He's understood the position of the Lord. And then Prabhupada is saying when one has this knowledge, he can develop love of God because one goes on. Spiritual life is unlimited. One goes deeper and deeper, higher and higher. So he has perfect knowledge. And as he grows deeper and deeper, develop love of God. So in our present position of conditioned life, we cannot see or understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. अतः श्री कृष्ण नामादि न भवेत् ग्राह्यम् इंद्रिये सेवन मुखे ही जीवाद स्वयं एव स्फुरति अदा. No one can understand the transcendental nature of the name, form, quality, and pastimes of Sri Krishna through his materially contaminated senses. Only when one becomes spiritually saturated by transcendental service to the Lord are the transcendental name, form, quality, and pastimes of the Lord revealed to him. Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu 1.2.234. So here Srila Prabhupada is quoting Srila Rupa Goswami, that how can we also be able to understand the Lord? So purification of the senses. Just like when the window is dirty, we can't see outside. Suppose the window is not been cleaned for a very, very long time, and there's a thick layer of dust. We won't be able to see. But when we clean the window, very easily we can see through it. So right now, our senses, our spiritual senses, all covered by this material senses. So then now what to do? We have to purify our senses. We have to revive our spiritual senses that we can do when we engage in devotional service. If one takes to spiritual life under the direction of Narad Muni or his representative and thus engages himself in the service of the Lord, he qualifies himself to see the Lord face to face. So engaging in devotional service under superior guidance, because we can't just, otherwise it will be mental speculation. It has to be followed. The directions are given by the authorities. Do like this, do like this, do like this. We want to become expert in anything, we go to the expert. We want to become expert cook. Somebody has a very good recipe, we just ask them and we follow it. So, following the instructions of the devotee. The Brahma Samhita 538 states, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Vilochanena Santa Sadeva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tam Aham Vachami. I worship the Primable Lord Govinda, who's always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. He's seen in his eternal form of Shyamasundar, situated within the heart of the devotee. So Brahma Samhita, Srila Prabhupada is quoting Lord Brahma here. And he's saying, what is Lord Brahma saying? That how will we be able to see the Lord? We will be able to see him when we have developed our love for him. Anointed with the pulp of love, when the eyes are anointed with the pulp of love. Then one can see Shyam Sundar, one can see Govinda everywhere by love. So one must follow the instructions of the spiritual master. Thus one becomes qualified and later sees the Supreme Personality of Godhead as evinced by Maharaj Citraketu. So Prabhupada here is saying, we can see in these verse, in these purports, Prabhupada is saying that even we can achieve this position that Citraketu has achieved. Citraketu is able to see the Lord. So we may think, oh well, but that's Citraketu, he's coming. That was a different time, a different age. He was such a great personality, coming from a great background, so one may think that, oh well, but I'm a Kali Yuga person, no qualification, no family, no background, no, a sinful person. But Srila Prabhupada is saying, he's quoting so many verses we can see. And as Citraketu himself said also, that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, by engaging in devotional service, everyone can be able to see the Lord, because the Lord wants us to see him. He wants us to revive our relationship with him. That's why he's giving us these instructions for us to follow. So following the instructions of the spiritual authorities, following the instructions of the devotee, and we will also be able to see the Lord. So I don't know if you all want to get into this, or we stop here and you have any
I think we
questions?
can stop here. Yeah, we can
right?
stop here. It's a very long one. Yeah.
That's why. Did you have any comments or questions?
Yeah, just we are hearing from more, scriptures, more authorities about following them. Yeah, getting more knowledge. I just had one question. We keep saying this transcendental knowledge, spiritual knowledge. So, is there any difference? I mean, transcendental knowledge, transcendental, spiritual.
It's the same.
It's the same. Yeah. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Shilpaji, just one question. That
Yeah.
Citraketu Maharaj saw face to face Ananta Sheikh, right?
Yeah.
And still he fell down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So can you
Because-
just, because he saw face to face and he's giving such immense knowledge, he's sharing such an immense knowledge, like what we have been reading all those verses, those
Yeah.
shlokas, that is immense knowledge. And as we all say that bhakti is never lost, so it stays there, right? So then,
Yeah.
but what happened that he got fall down? Was it the curse?
We are going to hear what will happen.
Okay, yes, okay, perfect.
Yeah, we're
Got
going to
it,
hear now.
okay.
It's coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Because I was just surprised that he's so much. And okay, yes, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's coming up soon. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.